Hi, I'm Bonnie, Log Cabin Stitcher. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my sewing room. I'm taking a little bit of a break from Instagram at this moment, but I do have an account, Bonnie Log Cabin Stitcher. I just haven't updated it for about a month. But I haven't done a quilting video for a long time. This is only going to be quilting number 13. So this is going to be, I was going to say all about the quilts I've been working on. No, I don't have the energy for that, but I have done a lot of quilting this past week. So I'm going to share those with you. And huge world events going on, and that's why I've been quilting so much. I will speak my thoughts on that at the end of the video. So I'm going to choose joy, nevertheless, while I'm doing this video, choose to put a smile on my face, and choose to do the best that I can to bring joy right now in the way that I can. So I have been doing a lot of smalls, mini quilts. I don't usually do those, but I have been seeing, as I've been making all my project bags, and as I've been doing that instant gratification is what I was calling it, where I would put my fabrics together, make a beautiful project bag, and boom, have a done complete project. And I really liked that. So I had a mini quilt that I put together last year, and it came to a point where I didn't have something, and so it just went in a bag. And I am seeing my video, my floss tube anniversary of my very first video that I put up, which in that same week I had a quilting and a floss tube video. It was September 5th. So that anniversary is coming up. And in the last floss tube video that I did, I was just saying that it really inspired me to think about what I have completed in this year, this 1 year segment. And I went from heavy into quilting and applique and gardening, and this last year when I found floss tube, just cross-stitching my little heart out. But I've been just desiring to get back into the love of quilts. So maybe it will be a rhythm of cross-stitching 1 month, quilting 1 month. I don't know, but I do like to get saturated in whatever hobby that I'm doing. I kind of have that saturation. So right now it has been quilting and looking at my unfinished projects, looking at what I want to make, looking at what I want to complete for that 1 year anniversary, which is coming up in 2 weeks. And so that's where kind of I am. And then in the midst of an incredibly chaotic mind and horrified at the events that are going on in the world right now and my personal thoughts about them, I have been controlling my little world. I have been making perfect seams. I have been ironing. I have been pressing perfectly flat pieces of fabric. I can control fiber and thread, and that's all I can control right now. And so I can tell you I did that. And I just am choosing to share that with you. And like I said, choosing to share joy. Nevertheless, that's what I'm going to do. I have a stack of stuff, so you can't really see this quilt. I am going to, and of course I got a fiber up my nose right now. So I am going to show you these quilts, and because the smaller ones are really easy to show you, but I rewatched my quilting number 1 video because I thought, where did I talk about this quilt? I know I had shown my unfinished project, but I couldn't remember where I talked about it. And so I'm going to show you. So I was rewatching that quilting number 1 video, and I thought, oh my goodness, so many of the things that I talked about then have been coming into play this week. So this one is called Basket Parade. So before I pick this one up, and it's getting hand quilted right now. I hand quilt. It takes a lot of time, but I feel in control. This week has been about what can Bonnie control. Needle and thread. And the eye. Well, oh, I got a tattoo this week. It's hot and it's steaming. So if you've got littles in the room, cover their eyes. Cover their eyes. Are you ready? Quilting tattoo. There you go. There it is. Had an incident with the iron. Knocked it over as I went to pull my little magic blinds down, and it hurt like heck. and then I knocked the iron over, and it's a good thing Riley was in my hands and not on the ground, and then I keep getting more. I keep knocking it. So yeah, it's the way. I did my aloe vera, did my lavender. So that's what I was gonna say. I have full controller. I am not very controlled with that iron, obviously. So some of these books, okay, so I'm just gonna, my mind is like all over the place because now I'm wanting to share with you everything that I need to. So these are some of the books that have been in my hands this week. I made a quilt from this. So Joe's Little Favorites. I got these on Amazon. Yes, I am trying to do purchasing from small businesses when I can. But when I bought these a while ago, I bought them all on Amazon, and they are still right there. So if you can find it from a small business, I encourage you to do that. Joe's Little Favorites too. And then the Basket Parade, this quilt right here is from this book, Joe's Little Favorites. So these are some awesome books. Now ooh, you're really getting jiggled. I went on Fat Quarter Shop, and I was just searching Joe Morton fabrics. And I found an instant free download. It's Shelbyville. I have this line of fabric, and actually one of them is in that quilt. But this was a free download. So 3 quilts, and but they're full-size quilts, but you can do it however you want to. But that's a free download. There was several free downloads on the Fat Quarter Shop. So part of the reason that inspired me to get this out was the fact that I want to finish some things up. And I have a big wood armoire, and half of it is taken up with unfinished projects that are all neat and organized, but all the fabrics that I have picked out for that project, many of them are just options. So I have one that I looked at, and I've got about 12 of my green pieces of fabric in there to audition for leaves. And I thought, that's where they all are. That's not all of them, but I thought, oh my goodness, let's just get these things done. So that's what I did. That's my way of gaining control of a certain situation. So now I wanted to show you. So this was, in my Quilt Guild, I won a raffle. So I got this. I wouldn't usually have bought a colored one because you can't see through it as easily, but I knew this one is the only green one, and it has this project in there. So now this is going to be empty, and that's the fun thing. So as I finish that quilt, all those pieces of fabric that went with that now go in my closet to get auditioned for other projects. But one thing that did happen is I had overcut these pieces. These are going to be the setting squares in between the baskets. I had cut twice as many as I needed, so I made a note. Where's my note? Because all this stuff is going to go in another thing, or another box, but I have 20 of these, so I'm just looking 26-inch blocks, and I love this fabric. It's a funky Civil War reproduction fabric. I'm going to find something else to make with that. Then I just wanted to show you, I have another box that has all my finishing for my quilt box. So as I prepared this quilt, I already auditioned what fabric I was going to use for the binding. I am almost finished with this fabric. This is an old Thimbleberries. So what I do, not only did I put, so just in case, because I may, who knows when I'm actually going to finish it, Basket Parade, that's the name of the quilt. But also my little trick is when I cut the border, you're cutting the salvage off. And so that's my trick. In case I forget, I will put the salvage for that binding, for that border, the bees, for that border, I will wrap the binding that's already, I do a double fold binding. It's already to go, already prepared. So that helps me remember what that is. And then just in case I forget, I've got it there. Then I'm really working at getting the label at least thought out what I want to do. So this is the fun thing. I was showing a friend of mine who we're going to work together so I can show her again how I do my applique. But I already knew what I wanted to do for the labels. So the baskets, this is a wild basket. But this is how I do my applique. This was a basket that was a little too wild, and as I was laying it out, it was like, whoa, my eye keeps going to that. And that's kind of my thing to know. If my eye keeps getting drawn to one little aspect in that quilt, it goes, if I can get it gone, or I figure out how to make it so my eye doesn't always go to that one little thing. So this basket was a little bit too crazy, but I do the freezer paper version of applique. So I do not do needle turn. I do the freezer paper and starch method. I keep saying I'm going to do a video about it. I don't know. But what I can do is explain to you about what I do. That may be as good as I ever get, because I'm not a teacher these are going to end up getting thrown away because I went to reuse them. You can only reuse them so often. This is just freezer paper. So it's just a roll of freezer paper that you pick up. It's actually shiny on one side, not on the other, and I've used it all the time. But because it's very thin, when I'm going to be using, when I use it, I usually do 2 to 3 layers. So I just iron the shiny irons onto fabric and itself, but it pulls easily off fabric. No residue, no problem. So I did these little baskets 3 times, but you can see, if I turn it this way, I think what you can see is because of the liquid starch that I use, and because I'm turning it over and using them multiple times, it ends up folding in and you lose that shape. And so I went to redo that to do my label, and I realized it's not holding its shape anymore. So all these pieces got used up, and usually I will save those in case I want to reuse those for other things, because this basket I really like. But those are going to go in the trash. And my friend asked, did you do that all one piece? And yes, what I did, of course, when I made this piece, I just cut it, and I should have taped it, because sometimes as I was ironing it, it would go down. But those are now going to go in the trash. But what I did when I cut out, when I cut this piece out, is I just got my little sharp scissors and I just did a nip in the center. I cut up, and then I cut a rough shape around that, so that then I could turn it underneath. And yes, there are only, this is where it's not for a rough and tumble kids quilt. I do not wash my quilts very often. When it's a brand new quilt, unless I have a reason to, I don't wash it. And now I don't have little kids around, and so I don't wash my quilts a lot because I don't like to. So anyway, if this was one that got washed a lot, even though I stitched it down, see, there's only 1 or 2 threads on those edges. So I don't generally do things with sharp edges if I can avoid it. I don't like pointy things, but like stars, I do soft edges on the stars. But you can see it does need to be clipped and trimmed, and maybe a miracle will happen and I will actually do a video someday. But this is the label that I did. So as I did this label, I just wanted to share, I just like to share with you tips and tricks, I call it. So that way, like when my friend comes over and I show her how to do this, this is just what I would do. I would say, okay, so I did a Word document, and I printed it out the way I want. And sometimes I will center it all because that was the shape of this. So I'll center it, I'll type it up, and I'll do it in bold, and then I'll put my item up there to the screen and see, does this fit right? And I'll either reduce it or enlarge it, and then I print it out. And then I have a light box. I just iron on one piece of the freezer paper so it's thin. I get this, put it on the freezer paper, not double folded. On the, my mind is a troubled thing, cluttered, as Siegfried Farnin from All Creatures Great and Small would say. I have a cluttered mind. Light box, paper. Sometimes you can tape it down if you want. Then I get this, and I center it, and then I just trace it. And I have the 2 brands of pins that I will use, I'll put in the drop down, because I searched, because I know these can fade over time. And if I wanted to, I used to embroider around, and so it wouldn't fade away. Anyway, I just did the pin, and that's what you got. So I keep thinking I'm going to stop this and redo it. No, we're just pushing through. We're just pushing through. The other thing I wanted to share was the backing that I use for my quilts. I never pay full price for backing unless it's a print that I may have bought and then decided later I didn't really like it. I always search for things on sale. The high quality quilting fabric, independent quilt stores fabrics. But I never pay full price for a backing. So when I find them on sale, I'll get as big of a piece as I can afford. And then I have them in a box under this couch right here. So when I'm ready for a quilt, I pull that box out. And this is just what I do. I get a piece of scrap paper and I do a rough measurement. I used to work at a fabric store when I was a kid. I was 16. So basically what you do is you rough measure, floppy arm. Oh. A yard is usually from your thumb to your nose. So 1, 2, 3 yards. I pop a scrap on there and that's what I got. You can't even see it, but that's one of my other tips. And then as I did this quilt, can't even see it right now. I did flying geese and I wanted to have a lot of options. And when you do one flying geese block, you kind of do 4 at the same time. And so I made double, so I had a lot of options. So now I have these flying geese and I will put them somewhere else so I know I can do another project with them. So the funny thing was I finished up some flying geese that I've had around forever into a small quilt that's underneath this. And now I have more to finish up into another quilt. I just thought of that now, kind of funny. So there we go. That's one thing done and talked about. Are you ready to see that quilt? So that quilt is from this pattern, Joe's Little Favorites. And I found it on Pinterest. I love Pinterest. And I did a quilt video. It shows a picture of me in like a burgundy shirt with quilts on a bookshelf. I don't know what number it was, but if you look, you just click my channel, look at the videos and look for that picture. I talk about the joy of the hunt and how I like searching down and hunting down a pattern, especially an old pattern that I can actually find and buy. And that's what I did with this quilt. I had seen it, I have it marked. I had seen it on Pinterest and I just searched it down, found the book, bought the book, and then started it, and then it sat for 2 years. But this is it, Basket Parade. Mine is different colors, but Basket Parade from this awesome book. So here we go. I have been a busy bee. So this is my Basket Parade. So I'm going to lift it up because I won't talk because you won't hear me anyway. And I'm going to show you, let me show you a close-up though. So I hand quilt, so it's in the process. This is the border. It's a Betsy Chichian, if that's the way I say her name. It's a fabric and I got it on sale, and I bought a lot of it because I love it. And this is the basket, so I pin. So when I do my quilt sandwich, I lay it out on my rug. I have a short rug and I lay it out and I sit and I pin. And that's just how I do my thing. But I found the hard way that, no, it wasn't horrible, but these setting triangles with these bias edges, they stretch. And I was like ironing really hard. I was ironing rather than pressing. So I had to undo one of the corners, refix it. But I tend, the setting triangles can get a little wonky. So I had to kind of like make it unwonky as much as I could as I am going to do the hand quilting. So these are the fabrics close up. Every single basket has a different fabric, but of course the setting triangles are all the same. So here we go. So hopefully you got to see this part of it. There we go. Okay, so this is the part I would really like you to see. This was the reason why it was sitting in my box for a year, because even though I love making flying geese, I just didn't make them. It was crazy. So this is my thing. And for whatever reason, the measurement for this one, I don't know what happened, and I had to cut it a 1/4 inch narrower. So to make everything fit nicely, it had to get trimmed. But this is my Joe Morton, and this was the only really wild one that I left in. But you can see most of them are prints, but not as wild. So I left a couple of my little wild baskets in. But that's what I'm going to be working on, hand quilting. And this is a smaller one. It's basically 58 by 58. I have a lot of big quilts, and I have a lot of big quilts in process. But I am finding that they're harder to store. They take longer to finish. They take more fabric, therefore more money. They're bigger, therefore harder to quilt, and I am finding my arms, because of the manipulation, my arms are getting sore. And so the smaller quilts are becoming more of an interest to me. So that's that one, Basket Parade, and will be in the works as far as my hand quilting. Let's see, now another one. Okay, let's see. This will be the next one we talk about. This was one that I did. These were the blocks that I finished up, and then now I have more. This was one that I'm calling Geese in the Grass, because this border, it was just that's the other fun thing about the minis. Fat quarters, if you have a fat quarter, you may just have enough for a border. And so this is my mini. It's all hand, the inside, which was pretty quick. For me, quick was like in 2 hours, I think I got this whole part hand quilted. So all these just different funky fabrics, but for a close-up of the hand quilting, that's what we got. So I still have to figure out what I want to do for the border and get that done. So that will be fun. That's a quick, just a fun, quick one that I'm finishing up. But it's funny because in that quilting #1 video, I do talk about that quilt. Now that quilt is this one. So if you want to learn more about this was the one I talked a lot about in that quilting #1 video. So I'm not going to redo it. But I had made too many of these flying geese. And this though, so I did look it up. This one's called Real Deal by Joe Morton, and it's in the April 2012 American Patchwork and Quilting magazine. Those are really not available. I think, oh, I saw one on eBay and it was just already sold. So these are 7-inch squares, finished 7-inch, but Joe Morton does several in that shape. One of them is in here. And so let's see where it is. Bedford Reels. So this one finishes up smaller, and those I can't even think of what those triangles, half square triangles, that's what it is, half square triangles rather than the flying geese. But that one finishes up 4 inches, whereas mine is 7 inches. But again, smaller, quicker finish. What was I going to share? Oh, I know. Okay. So part of the reason that that basket one was left undone was because I only knew one way to make flying geese. My mom taught me how to do flying geese with the Eleanor Burns flying geese rulers. And I love it. I had to help her when I got those. I was new at getting back into quilting, and I bought them, and my mom was in Colorado, and I said, Mom, I cannot figure out how to make these things. They are so weird. And she said, yeah, it is kind of weird, but come on out, bring fabrics, we'll make one together, and you'll get it. So I got it, and I love it, and that's how I prefer to make my flying geese. But these are the rulers. So it's quilt in a day. It comes with instructions, but there's several different sets. And so there has always been a set that, you see, even the little tiny ones, there's always been a set. No, I can't say that always, because there's another one that I got in trouble with. There's usually a set that I can take a pattern And I can say, okay, I've got the Eleanor Burns Flying Geese ruler. It is wonky. It's wonky how you do it, but it works. So on my notes, I wrote no Eleanor Burns ruler for this one. And I didn't verify that. So that serves me right for not double checking, but I was determined to learn to do it according to the directions, because there's another quilt that I did that taught me, let's just follow directions sometimes. So in the Jo Morton book, she did say it is imperative that you trim those flying geese, because you're working with so many bias edges. Trim those flying geese more than just cutting off those little rabbit ears or dog ears. And she said there is a block lock ruler that goes with it. And I love block lock. I have those for almost all the triangles. Block lock are expensive rulers, but they are amazing. So I went ahead and I bought a set. So this is what I can show you. It came in the mail and I thought, oh my gosh. It came in, these are $31 or $32 for these little pieces of plastic. But this is why. They're indented in the frosted part, and so you fit that into the seam and it doesn't slide around, and you trim it and you got it and you nailed it. So I went ahead and did all those flying geese with this ruler, and it worked. And then I looked in my set and I thought, I really did have the Eleanor Burns Flying Geese ruler for that. But at first I thought, oh, you know, that was a waste of money. I got 2 different sizes with that, but I thought, well, now I've got this. It is great, even though I could make them the Eleanor Burns way, which if I can, I will. I could always use that block lock to trim them up because they don't slide around and they are awesome. So that was one thing that a learning lesson, but I made myself learn and follow directions, and it was good for me because there was a lot of chaos going on already in my life, in our nation, and the beginning of what was going on kind of on a world plane. And it really helped me stay focused and not get wrapped up in crazy. And so I learned something new, and it was good. So that was a good thing. But in that also, it was my idea of let's learn how to do something the way the pattern says, so that way I don't have an unfinished project sitting forever in the cupboard. So another project that I worked on and actually finished was this little guy. So I worked on this. This one I searched. Okay, so this is what I did for you guys. For my special people, this is what I did. Okay, it was from this. I don't know if it was one that I got in my magazine or I got from my mom, because I inherited a ton of magazines from my mom and my sister, as well as I collected them. So this was this one. I searched this. There was like one on eBay for 10 bucks, and I thought that's ridiculous because it was probably just one of those free things that you get in the mail and throw away. So I searched and I found this one. But it was just a little bit larger. So don't let me, I was going to say, don't let me forget to tell you about that. Since I can't hear, I'm just going to show you right now, and then I'll show you the little quilt. Or I'll put these both in my hands so that way I can't forget. Okay, I'm going to put this right down in front of me. Now, this was one that was a learning lesson. It's cute, especially when you look at it from far away. And right now I have it with I had shown my shaker boxes, or they could be called salt boxes. I can't remember. I have a stack of 3 I'll call them shaker boxes, and they're sitting with some old buttons and stuff. So this is how I look at it. And so, yeah, it looks good. But when I look at it close, I almost threw it away because I was upset with myself. All those points. I am one who I like to get those points. I like to nail those points. Those points all got cut off because I decided, instead of following the directions, I wanted to use a mini charm pack, which was close. It was close in measurement. I wanted to use a mini charm pack, and I thought, I'll just make it work. Well, I did, but in doing that, it sat for a year, and all those points are cut off. It's cute, though. It's cute, and it's just a little tiny bit smaller than this one. So this I think was 2014. So if you've got this and want to make that, great. If not though, this is what I did for you guys. I even bought it so I could test it. So this one is called, I'll do it this way. This one is called Zig and Zag, and I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. It's on Quilting Daily, and it's a $6.99 download. So that way, no shipping costs, instant download. But all I did was I searched Little Zizi, because that's what that one was called, by Evelyn Young. And I searched, and because I thought, well, was it from a magazine or not? But anyway, this one is called Little Zizi. This one is twice the size of what this one is. So if you want to wing it and try to figure out how to do this one, just make it smaller and have a mini. That's cute. This is from, I called it Mini Gatherings because it was from Lisa Bonjean's. I have a lot of her, I had a lot of her mini charm packs. So this one was not it, but it was Lisa Bonjean from Primitive Gatherings. It was a charm pack that I used. And it was kind of hokey, and I had really skinny seams, but I got it done, and it's cute, and I like using a line of fabrics. So in the future, note to self, instead of spending $4 on a mini charm that's 2.5 inches, spend $9.50 or $10 and get a 5-inch piece of fabric, and that way you can work with what you got. But that's how much I love you guys. It is hard when I'm showing older patterns that I have, that I've had for a long time, or I've inherited them or been gifted them, and they're not available now. It just makes me so sad. So that's where I thought, oh, this is available right now. And then since I was on that site, let's see. Oh, and then I can just show you the close-up. I hand quilted it, and generally I like it when I'm hand quilting and the salvage has been ironed over to the side that I don't quilt on. And it makes that have that little bit of dimension, and that's easy to stitch because there's not a lot of layers. But this part where it joins here, there is just that, there is, the way I ironed it when I stitched, that was a nice stitch, this was a nice stitch, and then this has the salvage underneath it, and I don't like how how it doesn't sink in the same way. It's just a personal irritation. But I got over it because it's done. And if I can figure out how to iron something so I can hand quilt it without that seam allowance, that's what I would like to do. So this one, just a little bit bigger, but check it out. Since I need to get a lot of these things put away that I've been waiting to show you, there was another quilt. Oh, here it is. There's hundreds of quilts available for download purchase on that site, but one of them just caught my eye, and I love it because right now my love for America, my concern for my nation, and my concern for the world is high. And so flag things are really attracting me, but this one is called 16 Stars, and that's what caught my eye. But I thought, oh, that's pretty. I just like the look of it. So I bought that. Now I can get it put away. But back to this guy. There is no pattern. I was just inspired by looking at all the Joe Morton patterns. And so there was no particular pattern. So say you see this and you want to make it. Well, I can just tell you because I made it. So these are 1.5. Gee whiz. I could tell you if I knew exactly what those flying geese were. And I will have to put my glasses on and do a little research. Okay, so here's my quick research. I get my ruler and I see, what size are you? I think it's 1.5. Would it be this ruler? 1.5 by 3 inch. Yep, 1.5. Okay, so the flying geese are 1.5 by 3 inch. Then this was cut at, I wanted to make it narrow because it was quite, the black is quite a statement. So I cut this at 1 1/4. So you only see 3/4 of an inch right there. And then this was done at 3 inches. So very simple. I think there's 10 down and 3 across. When I was putting them together, the these were not supposed to be together. The red and the red was not supposed to be together, but I was paying attention to something else, and those were not supposed, this panel was supposed to be over here, but I thought it's there right now. So fun, a quick stitch, and it felt good to use up something that I already had. Now, here was one. Here was another one. So this was one that I started one evening, finished it the next afternoon, and my mind was absorbing to get a lot of information at the time, and I was incredibly upset. I was crying, I was praying, but I couldn't just sit. I had to do something. And even though some of these seams aren't quite right exactly, it's hard when I was telling my friend, when you're doing mini quilts and you're doing small pieces, any little mistake really, really shows up, but it's done. So in less than 24 hours, I got this little baby done. And this is from the Joe Morton quilt book. So that one is from, did I mark it? Okay, that one is from, where did it go? Oh, that one is from this book. So Joe's Little Favorites, this would be the first one. And that one is this one, Christmas Log Cabin. So a closer picture. And you know what, it's funny because I was telling my friend I have a lot of Joe Morton fabric. So I had actually a lot of those fabrics, but I love working from my scraps, and I had a bunch of strips, and I just thought I'm using those. So the neat thing was, when I inherited a lot of pieces of fabric from my sister and my mom, I get a lot of pieces. So I thought, oh my goodness, this piece of fabric is very, very similar to that. And so I had stored it just with these. Now they're smaller scraps, but these pieces were stored in that magazine. And I always knew that. And I went to pick up the magazine one day, and I walked out to look through it, and I thought, where are those pieces? Where are those pieces? And I found them on my sewing room floor, and I thought, I'm going to make that quilt right now so I don't lose them. But this was just the size of, this was one of the bigger pieces of the size of that fabric. And I'm still saving these because I can make something teeny tiny with those scraps because I really enjoyed them. So that was fun. It was fun in the sense that even though my mind, my thoughts, my prayers, my energy was on something that I cannot control, I got something done. I made this. And this is also, so this is, again, it's a lot easier to pin a very small quilt, but I use the bent, not pin, yeah, it's called pinning, but these are safety pins. So doing that, actually the red is supposed to be on top. And one other thought that I had was, well, this is fun because half of it, it's a large bold print in that center. Half of it is one colorway, half of it's the other color. And I thought, what else could I do? And I thought, for fall, I could do maybe dark browns or blacks, and then I could do orange and yellow or something like that. So I thought, oh, that might be fun to use some scraps, and very nice to be able to use something small, get it done, and have it up on the wall. Usually I have a quilt in that area. So this guy, forget to say, I will always, while this one is up here, it gets so much attention, I have a whole video about that. And so now I just copy and paste, and there's a whole video where I talk about this and how that one came about. So if you want to check that out, check that out. Now, another, whoops, here we go. Something else that I want to, oh, let's finish this. So this one, I was thinking, surely I have talked about this finish. Well, not on a quilting video. So this is my white chocolate covered cherries. So it's a small, and it has been very fun for me to do smalls. So you can get away with using a honey bun, a charm pack and a honey bun. And if you're really super careful, you can do a mini charm pack there. But so that's where the narrower strips, 1.5-inch strips, are great. So I'm really liking doing my scraps, and I've talked about this in other videos, I just can't remember where, about why that one's red, why this is this color. So I'm not going to go into detail on it, but those, it's done except for the label. And the other thing I want to be able to put away was I did an order from Fat Quarter Shop, and I purchased some more of the Lori Holt foundation paper piece. Now when I have the video that I have where that is the graphic, I talk forever about my foundation paper piecing experience and what I have and what I've used. So for that one that I just showed you, I bought more because I truly love this, and I have a lot of scraps that I want to use. So this is the Bee in My Bonnet, or no, it's So Emma pineapple quilt block foundation paper, 6-inch finish. They also have 12-inch. Well, since I enjoy that so much, I decided I wanted to get the economy block 6-inch, and look at this mama, economy block 12-inch. So it's huge. So these blocks, huge, quick. That's not going to help you. Big. So you can crank out a large quilt very quickly, or you can do a small mini one quickly. Well, the pineapple one was not quick because of so many pieces, but it's fun, and that way I could show you that's what I got. Now when I was, so I can put all this stuff away. My goodness, it's been a while since I've done a quilting video. Now I also purchased on the Fat Quarter Shop, I love Joe Morton, and I purchased Hopewell. So I purchased a honey bun. I usually would get jelly rolls, but this is 1.5, which is perfect for the pineapple for this. It's perfect for that, and you're not going to cut yourself really short, which I have done. This is perfect. And so I thought, oh, I'm going to get that, and I'll just crank one out. And I knew, since I wasn't going to just get those little tiny pieces, I got the Hopewell Charm Pack pineapple block. Well, one night I had a bee in my bonnet, and I just wanted to get it done, and I started working on it. And then I realized, because it's crazy, but you've got printing on the front and you actually sew it on the back. And I realized for that many pieces, there are a lot of pieces in that very small block. I didn't have enough different color options. I like very, very, very scrappy. So I thought, I think either I need to buy another line of hers, or go through my scraps, or choose something else, because really you can see there's not as many different options and not as many neutrals. So I just came up this morning with something else that I was going to do with that. But that way I can put that away and get that done. Then I also, this was also just a piece of fabric from Hopewell. I really like this color, which I guess, I don't know, what would you call this pink? It's almost like, well, if I look at the threads that just came yesterday, it's like wood rose. It has like cinnamony, and then this is ruby slipper. So it's kind of like a cinnamon pink color, but I really like it. It lends itself well to the color tones that I like. Oh, then goodness, look at, we can get all this put away. Blackbird Designs, there's Lori Textilist, Olivia B, have a BBDQA, Blackbird Designs Quilt Along, and I have a unfinished Blackbird Designs quilt. That's almost all the applique pieces are done, and I actually talk about that on my quilting #1 video, and I show all the pieces. And I've got it out because I thought I've got to get it done, but of course I needed to buy a new pattern too. So I had been wanting this, and so I just got it, but it's this is the quilt from it. So nice and simple, and that was one of the patterns that I got, because it is hard with some designers. When their patterns are gone, it is very hard or very expensive to get them. So that's what I'm going to share with you from that bag for right now. The other thing I want to show you is what I'm going to work on. I did get this book, So I had already started this quilt, and I got that quilt done before I got the pattern book. So one mistake that I made, I could have avoided, but this was another time that I couldn't sleep, and so I just got up. And when you're doing these are 1-inch strips. When you're working with 1-inch strips and you're doing the log cabin or anything with long pieces, you really, really, really need to measure up, measure up, measure up, measure and trim, and I iron rather than press. So I did this carefully, but I needed to get the book so that I could do the applique. Well, I got this out again because I thought, oh, I want to get that done. And so just this morning, I prepared, but where did I, now they're probably under a stack. I prepared all the pieces, and I was going to show them to you. Maybe they're in here. I was thinking, see, I was thinking ahead. I knew I'd be an airhead when I started this. So these little pieces, I'm not going to show you the pattern, but this is going to be the applique. And Kim Deal, I believe, does the machine applique. I do the hand applique. So this is what I did. Was I was on a phone call this morning, and I just needed to do something at the same time, and so I did my 3 layers. So this is just a leftover piece of the freezer paper. I traced out, that's what I did first. I traced out the pieces, then I ironed them so that there was 3 thick, and then I cut them out. And because the mistake that I made was this center block is a little, I didn't guess right at what the center block was. So it's a 1/2 inch. I think it's a 1/2 inch bigger than what the pattern is. So I just needed to enlarge the pattern a little bit. And so instead of going to I don't have a copier that does that, so I just did it. So anyway, I've got those, and then I will do my thing. And since I'm already getting tired, I'm not going to try to explain and confuse it to you guys even more. But that's what I'm going to be working on hopefully this week. So, and the reason that I made that, and I had shared in some video, I don't even remember if it was a floss tube or not. I had these. It was not a jelly roll. It was like curated from that shop. So they literally just cut 1-inch strips from that line of fabric, and I've had this forever. But you can see this is what happens with the frayed edges. But I still have a bunch of leftovers, and so I thought, wow, that would be really cute to do. Where's that quilt now? It's under the other pile. That Christmas one, those are 1-inch strips too, so maybe I'll do a log cabin like that. But that's going to be in the works. Couple more things to share with you. I have stuff stacked here now. It's like, well, where's the other part to that? Okay, so if you will remember, and maybe I can find it. Okay, here we go. So if you will remember, where did I put that? The pineapple that I just showed you. Here we go. Okay. I wanted to try something. I thought these are small pieces, so I don't want to show it to you. But these are little pieces, and I thought, well, surely I can use a mini charm, and I can make that, or I can see how far I can get. And I had a Betsy, what was it? I can't remember which one, but Betsy Chuchin. This is what I do with all my leftover ones that I pulled from that line. And I've got, well, I had one from Betsy Chuchin, and I really liked the colors. So I pulled all the browns, and I thought, well, how big can I actually make it? And this is as big as I got. So I couldn't make it the full size because the pieces were just too small. So I got this far. I got to the center, and then you can get to 2 layers out with a mini charm pack. So what I did was I just used scraps of fabric, and I thought, well, I'll make a mug rug, because I thought I'm not going to throw it away, and it was just something that I tried. And then I actually, because I really like these browns, I was actually able to find this one in a piece. So I just fussy cut that. So that's the back. But I like larger mug rugs. And so I just went around the house. I looked for a lid, and actually I found a lid that was that size and it wasn't big enough, so I just cut it bigger and I just traced it out. But that's what I did, and then I just hand stitched it. But I just thought it was fun. But again, it's a finish. I'm finishing things off and getting them done. I went out to visit my sister. We picked up a piece of furniture that they gave to us. And so I went out to see her, and she gave me one of her extra pairs of scissors, because we were talking about scissors and why I'm a Ginger girl. And she had and I'm tired of buying inexpensive little scissors, and they just don't feel good in my hands. So that's what I was telling her, is just I'd rather save up the money. And I have a small pair of Ginger scissors that are just all one color, but are they here? Oh, it's even smaller. These are all the Ginger. I have all the Gingers that are just plain like this. But I really like them. She gets these. She gets the fancy ones. So I even got it where it was in the case, so you can actually just pop this in and not have to worry about the sharpness of those scissors. But isn't that gorgeous? So she gave me, she had two that she said, I'll share one of these with you. Oh no, there was three. And she said, I'll let you have one of them. You choose which one you want. And this one reminded me so much of her, of her love of brights and colorful. So, and she's an artist and does amazing watercolor. So I got a beautiful new pair of Ginger scissors. I love them. Now, when I was talking about the charm packs and the mini charms, I wanted to share with you too, just in case you're not as familiar. But the reason that I like to purchase them is several. I mean, they're gorgeous, but I also love scrappy and I love reds. And so one time I wanted to make a scrappy quilt, and I just searched, because I know Minnick and Simpson, they often do red, white, and blue. And so I just found Crazy for Red. It was an older line, but I found it when I was just Googling. And so these are actually, I have two of these. So it's great to do a mini quilt. And it's also neat that if I love scrappy, I don't have to buy a lot of yardage. I have this collection. The other thing is, like, these are French General, two different lines, but it's also a way for me to kind of catalog something. So if I'm thinking maybe I want to do a big quilt out of a French General or another line of fabric, and I'm not at a fabric store where I can actually look at all of them, I can just order. You got to do it quick because those lines go quick. I can order a mini charm, and then I can literally, you get a small picture, but I can literally see what all those fabrics would be like in a little 2.5-inch square. And I can see, are there enough fabrics in there that I would want to get more of them? But also I do like, I have a little place that I showed in that quilting video that I referred to. I want to say it's like maybe quilting number 5. I showed where I have these like eye candy, and I have things set up where I can just look at them and they just kind of make me happy. But man, if you can get your hand on backgrounds, this is an older line, but I was able to find some. But backgrounds, miniature gatherings. So those ones are not as easy to find, but I do like having a collection. I like having a variety because I am incredibly scrappy quilter. So, I think, no, we're at the end, and this is okay. So those of you who stay with me, I'm almost to the good stuff, but I want to be able to put this stuff away. I had done a video about 2 weeks ago, and I was on a high. It had been a wonderful day. I had gone down to Primitive Gatherings to help celebrate my friend's birthday, and we went to Primitive Gatherings. We were there for hours. We went to lunch afterwards. We were together. We were talking, laughing, crying, you know how it is. And it was such a high. And then when I got home, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to tell my friends something happened. And I thought, oh, I got to do a video. So I did a video, and it was like an hour-long one. And at the end, I just thought, it was more of just a chat, because I just went into it thinking, I'm so excited. I just got to talk about this. And then I decided not to post it to the public because it was more just a chat. but it was a high, and it was a wonderful day. And so I'm going to put that link. It will stay as a private video, but for those of you who may want to watch it, I will put that link under this video, and you just copy and paste it, and you can see it. You can't comment on a private video, but you can watch it. But what happened that day was so fun, in that I went to Primitive Gatherings, and they had been having a customer appreciation thing, and my friend was saying she knew which day we were going to go down there. So Primitive Gatherings in Marietta, Lisa Bonjean's shop. And so she was saying, I got an email and there's a big sale going on. And so I went to their Facebook page and I watched a couple days of their videos, because they were doing different sales every day. And I have met Drew before. Drew is the manager. And then, oh my gosh, I forgot, Jane was the other person, the other lady that's there usually doing the video, but sometimes she'll be in it as well. So I was watching it, and I could hardly sleep the night before because I was so excited. And I like going to familiar places, and I have been there several times before. So my friend and I go, we get there right at opening, and I had just determined I only had a certain amount of money to spend, and I wanted to buy stuff that was on sale. So I already knew what was going to be on sale. And so there was two fun things that happened there, beside being able to spend the day with my friend. Was when I went in, it was so funny because there was something, a pair of scissors probably, and there was no price on it. And so I just went up to Jane, and I was waiting, and she looked up, and I was going to ask her the price, and she looked at me and she said, you do videos, right? And that was the thing. It's like someone recognized me that didn't know me. And in California, I know other floss tubers say that people recognize them, but California is a big state. And Southern California is overcrowded. And I thought, I'm never going to go anywhere and have someone recognize me, let alone a shopkeeper or someone that works at a shop that sees a lot of different faces. So it was so funny. But it was funny because I was going to say, I recognized you from your video. So that was very exciting. And that was fun. It was so fun. And my friend Linda looked over at me, and she's laughing at me because she knew how excited I would be. But anyway, that happened that day, and I talked about it. But the other thing is, I wanted to show my fabrics that I picked up so I can get them put away. But French General, I love French General. And I had purchased a piece of French General online, and I think I only got a half yard. And when this came in, it's all folded up nice. This is the size that I folded up to put it in my drawers, where I can just like look up and I can see. So all the folded edges, if there is a folded edge, is there, so I can look through my drawer and pick out that piece of fabric. But all the not all the fabrics, all the fabrics that I purchased were 25% off. So I think I got 1.5 yards of this one, but I loved the incredible funkiness of it. So that was a piece that I got. Then another French General that I had, and I think I bought 1 yard of this. But I really like this one. So that was another one that I purchased. And then Joe Morton's, but see, these are all folded. This is the size that I can fold it to put it away. But this one, I think I only got 1/2 yard. And then because this has been on the floor, so I can share it with you, that one could have gone in that Christmas quilt. This is a Kim Deal, and this would be such a fun one for a mini border. But again, only 1/2 yard, because that's what I could afford. And then some of the other pieces that I got, this was on sale as well. I love the little flower. That's a Primitive Gatherings one, and so is this. A larger piece for a background. And then I'm also liking that little bit of gray in there. So I have some fabrics that I have that have a little bit of gray, but I loved that for a background, maybe for a wool project. And then the brushed cottons. So they're similar to flannel, but in time that softness wears off, and then it's just regular cotton. But I have a quilt that I want to work on, and one of these may be the backing for it. Brushed cotton. That was only like $7.50 a yard, so that was a good deal. And then I'm doing, hopefully next week I'm going to get back into my wool, and I really like using interesting fabrics for the background. So this one I got 3 yards of, because I want to use it either in a quilt or have it as options for background. But Drew was doing the cutting for me, and I said, oh, I said, isn't this cool? I said, I call these fabrics woven. Wovens. What do you guys call them? And she said, wovens. So it was funny. But I loved that rustic look of those fabrics. So did I share everything with you? Yeah, I did. Awesome. And we're at an hour. So those are all the things that I'm going to share with you. I do have more. I have a lot of other quilts that I've been working on, but I knew that I couldn't put too much in this video. So let me have a drink. Okay. So that's all that I'm going to show you here. We'll hopefully do another quilting video, because I'm looking on my list and there's other things that I wanted to share with you, but it just makes too long of a video. And I have a quilt of my mom's that I'm borrowing from my sister, so I can show you as well. So that'll be the next video. Now, this is what I call the good stuff. So this is where I'm going to talk about two things that not everyone may want to hear, but I'm going to talk about my love of Jesus, and I'm going to just mention a little bit about my political thought right now. So thank you for watching if you don't want to be here for that. But this is the cluttered part of my mind that has been very troubling, and I have had a lot of trouble sleeping lately, just because a lot has been on my mind. And so this is how I do my walk with Jesus, and this is how I do my praying for my nation, and now for this horrible situation going on in Afghanistan. So troubled mind, and then situations that my husband and I are looking at dealing with the future, and it kind of encompasses one thing, and that's the lack of freedom, and something that we believed took place. And this is where I want to be careful about how I frame this. And so I've really been thinking about how would I even bring this up on the quilting video where I just share about my faith. And so I'm going to speak about my concerns. Not everyone shares my concerns. These are my concerns, and this is how I bring my faith into it. So from the viewpoint that I am a very conservative Christian who loves America and values people that want to keep America great and put America first. Each nation should put their nation first. Then they can be strong for others. So that is the framework of me and my mind. In all that framework, this last year especially has been very hard, seeing that I believe our election was not correct. I believe that even though I'm in California and we have a recall going, I don't have much faith that my ballot is actually going to be counted correctly. That's a scary place to be for me who grew up in this nation. Scary place to be. Those have been big concerns. And then other bigger concerns about the freedoms that are being ripped out. Our freedoms in the United States of America are built upon the Constitution. They are our constitutional rights. They are not given or taken away by our government. They are our constitutional rights that our nation was built on. So that's where it is so interesting when I think about, oh, people from other countries are watching me, and I don't know their concerns about what go on in their country. And I heard someone speaking this week that had been in 4 different countries, and that's what he was saying. That's where I just thought, oh, other nations don't have that concept, or they don't have that built into their framework. So that's where I am standing, seeing that our Constitution has basically been ripped away, taken away, and so how it affects me, I do not feel I have the freedom of speech anymore. I do not feel that we have the freedom to bear arms anymore. And those are our constitutional rights. That's what I grew up with. I'm 58 years old. That's what I grew up with. And we've been losing it. And that's scary. And then so many other things that are going on. And now things that are going on even within our nation. I'm thinking, gosh, these different things that are going on could affect me in the sense that I may not be able to work anymore. That's scary for me too. And so there is a lot of serious stuff going on in my life, in my view, in my home, and in my nation. And because of that, and because of the thoughts that I personally have about the people that are now in the United States White House, and how they got there, and what's happening right now is terrifying. It went from my nation now to the world. And we also live right by, and this is deeper, so a lot of people I'm sure have checked out, but I live just a couple hours north of our southern border of the United States, which is wide open to anything. That's scary. There's a lot of things that are going on that are adding to the clutter in my mind. And so my husband and I are just talking about, what do we do? What can we do? We can pray. And where do people find truth? Truth is hard to come by. So what I have been doing is trying to listen as I've been sewing. I've got my iPad and I'm choosing to listen to where I believe I can get as much truth as possible. And I found some new places. And then I have our church. Our church is incredibly politically active, and it's Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, and I know a lot of people all over the world listen to him. And I'm trying not to watch him on YouTube because those can be just taken away. But there's an app, Real Life with Jack Hibbs. There's an app, so that cannot be removed or censored or whatever. But also Jack Hibbs said his Facebook page is being hacked multiple places. So, and it's alarming. Those are all very alarming things. So I know this is like maybe TMI, but this is me and why I've been quilting so much. But also, I value the truth that I can get about our Constitution from Wall Builders with David Barton. We use some of that curriculum to teach our kids homeschool. But there's a podcast, Wall Builders, you can find on YouTube, or I think they have a website too. And Mike Pompeo is going to be speaking, I believe it's tomorrow. The other place that I've chosen to listen to, because I value this truth, is Laura Trump has The Right View. She has a channel, and Right Side Broadcasting I enjoy watching, but she has her own channel that they view that the interviews there, but The Right View with Laura Trump. I really appreciate the way she does her interviews, because she really gets the person talking instead of directing everything. She really gets them talking and asking questions. So that has been what I have chosen to do in the midst of getting the news about the horror that is going on in Afghanistan from places that I believe are as close to the truth as I can get them. And that's where I've been. And that's where it's just like, I've been wanting to do this video for days, but I just thought, how can I possibly put on a smile on my face and just talk about happy quilting stuff in the midst of all this stuff? And then I thought, well, this is what I'm doing, and maybe this is where I can bring a little bit of joy to people. And those of you that stay to the end, either because you might want to hear my thoughts, or you share my faith and my belief and my love for Jesus and country, this is what I can bring you. I called my dad the other day, and I said, Dad, how are you doing? We were FaceTime. And he said, I said, you look upset. And I didn't know what he might be upset about. And he said, yeah, Bon, I am. I said, what's going on? And he said, I have no words. And that's when I knew. I said, me too. And that's how many people are right now. And that's where I just thought, this is how I can come to you, share my happy quilting stuff, but share the deep, troubled thoughts. So, God is still on the throne. End times are coming. Bible prophecies they are here around the corner. And I've been thinking about Esther, thinking about the characters that I learned to love as a child, not just characters, the people that I learned to love. Esther, she was created for such a time as this, and that's been my conversation with God. I don't like living in hard times, Lord. I've got anxiety, I've got depression. How am I going to live without freedoms? How am I going to do that? I don't want it. And then for such a time as this, He created me right now for such a time as this. Why? I can pray. I can pray. And then the other thought about Daniel. He was told, do not pray. You bow down to this person. You do not pray to God. What did he do? He opened the window and he prayed to God no matter what. And those are all just thoughts. That's where I'm trying to gain strength from this, and then from the truth of the word. So there's so many thoughts about the verses. If my people who, I can't even think of it right now because I'm emotional, but if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, I will heal the land and I will hear their prayer. And so now this is for the whole world going on, all these thoughts going through my mind. And I thought, okay, so what verse am I going to share? And I was looking through my verses, and I thought, this one is what I want to share today. And if everyone would treat others more highly than they would treat themselves, how much of heaven on earth this would be. So this is what I want to share with you. Philippians 2:1-5. Therefore, if there is any consolation in Christ, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any affection and mercy, fulfill my joy by being like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. Let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowness of mind, let each esteem others better than himself. Let each of you look out not only for his own interests, but also for the interests of others. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. So my prayer goes out to the families, to the people. Things keep happening, which we keep thinking there's going to be repercussions for years and years. This is huge for many different reasons. And that's why it's so heavy on my heart. And I'm really tempted just to stop this video and not upload it, but I must. This is me. And for those of you who stay this far, there's a reason. And I remind myself, may I choose joy nevertheless. May you choose joy nevertheless. We must pray. We must pray for this situation and what will come of it in the future. And my heart is heavy, but my God is big, and I know this is not my home. Heaven awaits. Heaven awaits.